A mysterious box showed up on our doorstep. Coming up on this episode of We're No Damn Experts, we're talking about what was inside that box and why it matters for your trip to Great Falls.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames. If you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth.
And we're no damn experts. And this is what you get when we record on a Monday.
Yeah. You'll really see why we call ourselves no damn experts today, too.
I'm going to kick it off by just letting our listeners know.
Yeah.
We received a box at our doorstep.
Yep.
And it was full of brochures.
Uh-huh.
Now, there are times when people will stop in here and we aren't open, per se.
We have meetings. It's a holiday, what have you.
People get sick and there's only one person.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that happen with a staff of 3 where we're not all able to get the door open.
And we do other things besides
waiting
stand
for
there
you
at
to
the
show
door.
up.
Yeah.
Yep. Not that we don't love to see you. But,
Right. That's not the only thing. Right.
So we
All
came
that to say.
back to the office one day and there was a box of material.
Yeah.
And
An open box. It wasn't like somebody mailed it.
Right.
It was somebody dropped it off. Yeah.
And we really missed the opportunity here. So, we get a lot of materials here at the office. Some of them are pertinent, some are not.
Yeah.
And I picked up the brochures that were in this little box. I'm like, holy moly, there's some good information in here.
And I have never heard of this before. I mean, I don't know if that's good to admit or not, but here we are. Yeah.
Now, I knew about this a little bit.
Okay.
But, let me just preface everything with the amount of exploring I have done to the western part of Great Falls is not as extensive as I have done to the eastern part of
that
Great
makes
Falls.
sense given where you're from.
Yeah, I'm an eastern
Yeah.
Montana girl, so it just makes sense. But, Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And Lost Creek, nope.
I mean, that exists too, right?
I'm not sure.
I feel it sounds like somewhere that would exist.
There's just really some great hiking available in the Rocky Mountain front and the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. And we call it the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex, Shannon, as you know, is because it includes the Bob Marshall Wilderness and the Scapegoat Wilderness.
Sure.
So there's kind of 2 wildernesses in that area, so we call it the complex.
But it's not the Scapegoat Complex.
No.
They did stick with one
it's
name.
Smaller. It's smaller.
Pick a name on that one.
And it's named after Bob Marshall. It
Yeah.
wasn't just, there's some history there. And I don't know if we've ever done justice to the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex or the Rocky Mountain front, for that matter.
I think it often gets overlooked because of its neighbor Glacier, which obviously amazing. But the Bob Marshall is just gorgeous and rugged and beautiful.
You all might recall, avid listeners, because I know you're listening to every episode and committing it to memory.
Yes.
The episode we did with Kelly Aline, and she talked about the Chinese Wall, which is in the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. So we've done some content related to the Bob, but in my opinion, not nearly enough.
Not enough.
But at the same time, to really experience the Bob, you're going to have to backpack in there or take a stock assisted trip or, hire a helicopter to fly you over it.
Drop you in there. If someone does that, please let us know. We'd love to hear about that experience.
There was an issue with someone landing their personal aircraft in there, which is illegal.
Ooh.
You would have to parachute out and into because no motorized anything in the Bob. So there is some method to our madness as to why we've not talked a lot about the Bob because of those aspects of you're going to have to camp
pretty remote
in there.
Yeah.
So it's not always for everyone, but it is absolutely gorgeous.
Worth it.
So in this box of goodies, we got the Alice Creek Historic District brochure.
Yes.
And so...
That was the whole box, wasn't it?
No, there was this other brochure called Lincoln Summers.
Oh, right. I thought that was part of... Oh, okay. I see now. Huh.
Yeah, and it was folded up and it...
Like that.
Yeah, just a piece of paper. Looks like it's printed off at the office.
Yeah.
But really great information.
Okay.
I don't know what Lincoln Summers means, but I'm also going to say it came, both of these, the box itself, came from the Lincoln Ranger
and
District.
It's like a possessive summers, not summer, like summer in Lincoln. I'm
it's
guessing
the summer
that's what
that
it's supposed
belongs
to be.
to Lincoln.
Yeah. Lincoln. Well, then it would be Lincoln's summer, not Lincoln's summer. I don't know. I haven't read the brochure. I didn't see that one. I only got the Alice Creek one. So that's all you.
So you picked the short one to read.
I didn't even see that there was that other one. Yeah.
So I told Shannon, I'm like, hey, we should do an episode
on this random
on
box that was
Alice
dropped
Creek
off.
Historic District.
Yes.
Where we just tell you what we've learned, which is really cool.
We're going to read you the brochure.
Well, we're going to do a little bit more.
Ask you to paint a picture in your head.
But it is this area just to the east, or goodness, to the west of us, that is a lot of exploration.
Yeah.
Biking and hiking and motorized
ATV,
jeeping
4x4.
and four-wheeling and that kind of stuff. Really great opportunities for recreation. And we really don't know much about it.
No.
Neither one of us.
I hadn't even heard of it.
Now, my husband has spent a lot more time trying to explore the Lincoln area.
Yeah.
And
A lot
we've
of
done
snowmobilers like that area, too.
a lot of snowmobilers. There's a lot of cabins in the area, but there's not a whole bunch of lodging.
Right.
There's lodging, folks. I'm not going to, lie to you.
Right. There is, but most of the people are going to camp or be in a cabin or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Or come back to Great Falls.
Right.
Which would be a normal
Which makes a lot more
thing.
sense. Yeah.
It's not that far away.
No.
So we know that there's a lot of effort. I shouldn't say we. I speak for you.
Yeah, that's fine. We as an organization. Which,
there we go. Collectively, someone
we.
in the office knows that there's a lot of efforts to make this area bigger, this Lincoln recreation area a little bit bigger. And it will take a lot of work of Congress to be able to do this, which is a process in and of itself. But it's looking at the wilderness management areas and the recreational areas and figuring out the best way to make it easier to develop and grow these assets that we have access to in a way that doesn't require so much time. Because anytime it's involved with the government, there's a lot more time that it takes. Not that the process they would use is not inclusive of the public, but it doesn't then take an act of Congress to make these changes.
Literal. Yes.
And everyone, when we say act of Congress, we're not making a joke. Like that's
literally
a literal
what happens.
act of Congress that needs to happen in order to approve some of these things, which is not, there's jokes about it for a reason.
Right. It's not a fast process.
So to the west of us on Highway 200, you'll find the Alice Creek Historic District. It's a small area in scope to the Scapegoat Wilderness, and it's just to the south of that. And in there, you're going to find a lot of opportunity to do the outdoor recreational stuff that you all like to do, whether it be winter or summer or spring or fall.
You got them all.
Every season, there's something to do in this area.
And it says, just to mention, we were talking about Highway 200, that turn off for Alice Creek specifically, it says 10 miles east of Lincoln. So just FYI.
Yeah.
Where you can go to find the trailhead.
You'll see signs. So pay attention to the
Now
brown
I'm going to pay
signs.
attention next time I drive through there of where those signs are.
Have you ever been?
To Lincoln?
Well, no. To recreate in Lincoln.
I've not been to recreate in Lincoln. I've been through Lincoln a bajillion times because I went to college in Spokane, and that's the road you take. So I've been through there a lot. I've stopped there, stopped at the beef jerky
Oh,
place, which, okay, we'll just give them a shout out when you're over there.
yeah.
Stop, get your snacks and gifts. The
High Country
thank
Beef
you.
Jerky
yes, Montana made.
store.
The honey kissed is my favorite beef
Yeah.
jerky kind.
Have you
Yeah.
tried the elk or the bison?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Is that good?
yeah.
Not your not your first
Well,
preference.
If it was like just a plain, they did like a cherry and a whiskey flavored to
Gotcha.
it, so
you
it
just
wasn't.
want the you just want the meat.
Just give me the meat.
What's there? They also have. It's really good. It's not a jerky, but it's like a jerky. I think it starts with a P.
Pemmican?
Yes, thank you. Do you like pemmican?
I never tried it.
Okay, I've tried it. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an ancient
yeah. It's
First Nation food.
Mhm. Yeah, and now
That's what they used
they
to make.
produce that. Yeah, it's a combination. It's hard to describe. It's
meat and berries
meat and
and
berries, and it's a good snack.
Roughage.
Yeah. Not like grass. This doesn't have like grass in it.
Well, right. It
Now.
did.
Right.
You know, there was some
This
binding
one
agent.
that you're going to go get is not just like grass pulled from the field. But it's good. I like it.
Now, the other thing about recreation in this area
Mm-hmm.
is there are grizzly bears.
Yes. And in my
your
reading of the brochure, yes, it does mention grizzly bears, and that this is one of the only places, and we'll talk about this more, along the entire Lewis and Clark Trail, which this is part of, where grizzly bears still roam. So, I mean, we have grizzlies all over Montana. This is, though, saying that along the specific
Right.
trail, this is the only part. And they say, well, it's, you know, it's rare, but they're still there.
I think any encounter with a grizzly is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
we-
something that
right.
happens.
Right.
It'll every time it does happen, it makes the news.
Right. So that
Because
should
it
say
does-
something, because it's not an everyday
Right.
thing.
Like if it happened all the time, the news would stop reporting
Yeah,
on it.
right,
They'd,
because
they'd
it's just-
eventually be like, another person got
Another
ate by
thing.
a grizzly.
Right. That's just a normal thing. I mean, all that to say, like, be bear aware, like
Right.
bring your stuff, know that they could be there, all of that. But don't let that stop you from going and exploring, thinking every time you go out, you're gonna have this encounter.
Right. Because be prepared, but it's likely not going to happen.
Yeah. Now that we say this, the listener's gonna go out and
Get eaten by a bear.
Please don't
we
do that.
apologize
Yeah.
in advance.
Jeez.
Get your bear spray from
Yes.
Bighorn.
Bear spray, bells. Yeah.
But this area is one of those areas that's steeped in that Lewis and Clark history.
Yeah, and a lot of history even before that too that still shows up on the
Yep.
land.
Yep. Which is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Before Lewis and Clark showed up, there was a lot of people that lived here.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It
Yep.
wasn't a big surprise.
They were here first. Their land. Right. And it's interesting to me because, I mean, obviously all throughout the state there's a lot of stories of that and markings of that. This to me though is interesting because it talks about the travois, which I looked up to make sure I was saying that
it right?
correctly. Yes.
Yeah.
So in this pamphlet, it's talking about the travois, which is a traditional tool that Native Americans used to carry like large loads that would attach to a horse or a dog, it said. But it made these, well, that's what it says. Yeah. So
Okay, truth be told,
probably
I
a
didn't
big
read
dog.
this brochure
Oh,
as much.
well,
I
see,
just
this
looked
is
at the
good. Yeah.
pictures.
So this one, well, see, okay, I read it all. But yeah, so the interesting part to me about this is these travois. I'm going to guess that that's the correct plural of that word. They like mark deep parallel tracks in the earth because of
So,
its
like,
use. So
So they'd
like
be like,
dragging marks, I would
right,
assume.
like
yeah.
road, like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
were driving, it'd be the same kind of markings.
Yeah, and so it's saying that this is a pretty like well-traveled area, like well-traveled trails, if you will, for these travois. So you can still see, it says remnants of these tracks are still
That's cool.
there, which is pretty amazing considering, I mean, we're talking
Well,
1800s.
yeah.
Yeah.
So weather has happened since then,
Right.
which fills them in a little bit.
Right.
But even when you're out, like in the old areas where Charlie Russell paints, you can still see like where roads have been pulled out
Yeah.
of an area. Now,
Yeah.
of course, that's more recent within the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
But some of those are not paved in roads. And so there's been some adjustments. So that's kind of neat to see the roads of your
right, the original trails there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that helps people to also know, hey, this was the best route.
Right.
A lot of people went this way,
That's a good
probably
point.
a good way to go.
Yeah. Well, and it talks about that too, because so we mentioned there's the obvious Native American history there and well-marked history. And then for Lewis and Clark, we mentioned this being the Lewis and Clark Trail is what it's called through there. But it sounds like Lewis was the one who went through there, and he was advised by Nez Perce guides of a well-beaten track there that was easy to follow. So Lewis was looking for that as an indication of how to get through this area more easily as well.
Had you read Lincoln Summers?
Does it talk more about
this? It does. It
okay,
talks
good.
about the day hike opportunity at Lewis and Clark Pass 493, that it's a 3.2 mile round trip, moderate hike. And the details behind it is that Lewis and a party of 9 men followed on Indian Trail that the Shoshone called, do I say it and sound awful?
Do you have the Road to the Buffalo? The English version?
Yes, River Road to the Buffalo.
Yeah. I did try to look up it's a Native American name for this trail.
Kit.
Yeah. See, I tried to look, I couldn't find a correct pronunciation. So we don't want to do it injustice here, but it also says in
River
English.
Road to the Buffalo.
Road to the Buffalo. Yeah.
So it's a lot of history there that you can walk a lot. This brochure that you didn't read,
I didn't know existed,
has so much information about fishing, day hiking.
Okay, yeah, that has more.
Scenic drives, mountain biking.
Nice.
The National Scenic Drive, and my favorite.
Uh-oh, what?
Huckleberry picking.
Oh, yes. I love it. Now we have a specific area where we can send people.
I'm still likely not going to send people huckleberry picking.
Yeah, that is where you would be more likely to run into the grizzly bear.
Right.
Or just any bear.
And more importantly, that's a more Western Montana thing.
Right.
We're really into the chokecherry side here.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard to find except, the first weekend in September.
It's true because I mean Montana, that's kind of like the well-known huckleberry thing. That is more west, but now we have
an area close to us now where you can go.
Send people.
And they give you the months. July is the best time.
Okay.
Beaver Creek, Huckleberry Pass, and then Arostra Creek.
Okay.
From Lincoln. It gives you some directions.
There you go.
So if you're into huckleberry picking, I did chokecherries once.
Yeah?
Went and picked a bunch and made some chokecherry jam.
Wow. How'd it turn out?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I even made some syrup.
Ooh.
But it's intense because
you're going...
let me just preface. I'm used to making strawberry rhubarb jam.
Okay.
Which I used to make all the time growing up. Mm-hmm. It's a gelatin-based, you just add gelatin and some stuff, cook it, you're done.
Oh.
Chokecherries require processing of the berry. More. So you have to boil the berry.
Muddle? Is that what it's called?
And then you have to drain it through cheesecloth to get the juice. Mm-hmm. So then you can start making stuff once you have the juice made or the berry water, if you will.
Yeah. So the actual chunks aren't going in there?
Correct.
Is it because it's so big? I mean, does it require so much more sugar?
It does require some sugar because it is more of a tart flavor. But I'm going to go with it's not that much more sugar than like strawberry rhubarb jam just because you are using Jell-O in my recipe. You are.
Okay.
I mean, there's high levels of sugar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's any more sugar or any less sugar than other things.
Why can't you have pieces like
you don't actually
cherry
muddle. You don't muddle.
You don't muddle.
No, you just boil for 3-4 days, I think, if I remember correctly.
Cow.
It's a long
time. Is this
time.
like a crock pot thing, or it needs to be more than that?
Yeah. Well, you're at the stove. It's an all-day process just to get the juice.
It seems like a lot.
That's why I did it once.
Yeah. there's
I
a lot of
loved it.
people, like you go to the Chokecherry Festival.
Right.
There's a lot of options for that. And that's a lot of, I mean, good job, everybody. I would not.
This is a
Be
berry
committed
you
to that.
can't just, you could, but it's not just a berry you pull off the bush and eat
Yeah.
because of its tartness.
Yeah.
It's not a palatable flavor like the huckleberry is.
Yeah. Huckleberry's still tart.
Yeah, but it's got
But
some
it's-
natural sweetness in it.
Not like the chokecherry.
No.
Yeah. All that said,
So
we have a place
there's
to
that.
send you now.
So there was that divergent trail. But they've done a really good job of explaining the different day hikes that they recommend, the places where you can fish.
All within this Alice Creek area, or just kind of in general in the Lincoln
within
area?
the Lincoln,
Okay.
what I'm going to call the Lincoln recreation area,
Okay.
which is going to be a larger encompassing than just the Alice Creek Historic District. But there will be,
Crossover.
yes.
Okay.
Because in this map that we have,
Yeah.
you can go to the east, the west, the north, and the south from that Alice Creek area and recreate.
And that's all. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Because you're still in the Helena National Forest. Lewis and
Helena, Lewis, and Clark,
Clark
National
National
Forest.
These brochures must be old because they combined a while ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, we know that.
Yeah.
We know what it's called.
And then the other really cool thing inside the Alice Creek Historic District, or which goes through the Historic District, is the Continental Divide National
Yes.
Scenic Trail. Now,
I saw
you may
pictures
be
of that when I was looking it up.
can you walk that or do you drive it?
Oh, I was assuming it was a hike. Is it not?
It is a hike.
Oh, okay.
It's 11 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yep. There's a parking area, so you have quick
Okay.
access to it.
Well, that's good.
And then we've got directions of how to get
Yeah.
there. But I'm
So
pretty
that's a
sure
good-
you're not
good
going to
day
be
hike.
marking stuff down.
Not listening to the podcast, waiting to write things down, not taking
Oh, this
notes.
is my direction. So if you need help,
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah.
You'll
Ask Rebecca. She's the one with the brochure on this particular
I have
thing.
multiples of these brochures,
Okay.
even though Shannon didn't pick hers up.
I really, I only saw the
Yeah.
Alice Creek one. And you said we'd be talking about Alice Creek.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything about Lincoln Summers.
I really like this brochure.
It does have good information in it.
Now, being that we have been in Lincoln,
Yeah.
the scenery is pretty. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is all we can go off of because we've not done any of this recreation.
We're like, hey, we got some brochures. We should, let's
Now,
talk about this.
I have driven Flesher's Pass
Yes.
Road, which is where that Continental Divide National Scenic Trail, there's a access point there. And that is epically stunning
Yeah.
and steep.
You know what I did want? I will forever have fond memories of this. It was a hike with my dad, who's since passed, and him and I did this. I think it was 13 miles. It was Rogers Pass to Flesher Pass hike with, I think it was one of the Montana Wilderness Associations where you can get a guided hike there.
It's 13 miles,
Yeah.
according to my
Hey,
Lincoln
I
Summers.
was right. Yeah. So yeah, my dad and I did that together, and it was just. I'm very tired at the end, right? Because that's a long day hike. But
So you
it was
have done
gorgeous
this stuff.
Well, but I don't know what the Alice Creek. I didn't know what the Alice Creek Historic District
Well,
was.
I think it's part of it. You've done part
Have
of
I
it.
been there?
Flesher Pass Road to Rogers Pass Road, 13 miles.
Yeah, I did the hike. Yeah, the hike version of
Yeah.
that. A road? We
Well,
weren't on
there's roads in
Okay.
that area, but this
Okay.
is a trail.
Yeah. We did the trail with the group. Also, this has nothing to do with anything except on this hike. I remember this. I think I was early 20s when we did this, and somebody asked if my dad was my boyfriend.
Oh.
And I was like, that's a compliment for my dad, and I don't know what for me. So. So I remember that. I have a picture. I remember it being a great hike, and I remember that from this experience there.
I was at a public place where a very nice old man asked me if my husband was my dad.
Aw. Asked Robert? Oh, no.
I'm like,
Oh, no.
I don't think he looks that old.
No.
I don't think I look that young.
No.
Yeah,
Well, I
all of
mean,
a
not
sudden-
no, but just you guys look, it's not
Yeah.
you guys have this huge age difference look between
Right.
you.
Like I just thought he was being nice.
Yeah.
You know how old people
Yeah.
are nice.
Yeah. Oh, hey, is that your daughter?
One of my favorite compliments I had ever gotten from a really old man one
Uh-huh.
time was he told me I was cuter than the spots on a puppy.
That's adorable, and I want to use that now.
I'm like,
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you. That was when I was younger and nicer. Now I don't get that
I
compliment
feel like
anymore.
that's like a Southern phrase, like knee high on a grasshopper, like cuter than a dog's spots.
Yeah, it was not in the South. Well, it was south
Yeah.
of here. It was in Wyoming.
That's still not south. It takes a lot further south to be south. Yeah. That's cute though. I want to use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Anyway,
you go, people.
So speaking of that too, I mentioned the guided hikes. Like there are
Oh, yeah.
organizations, there are places where say, hey, I don't really want to go venture out on this. Maybe I'm traveling by myself or the rest of my group doesn't want to hike. You can find people that will lead guided hikes in a lot of these places.
It just reminded me that I forgot to include all the wild Montana guided hikes that are scheduled
Oh,
to the inventory last
I should
week.
probably add those to the events page too, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
you
work
would have
on that
known had I gotten
on
my
the
job done on
inventory.
Friday. Goodness gracious.
We'll make it happen.
So one of the big things that is important for people to understand about the Alice Creek Historic District is it is not part of the wilderness area. Separate area from the wilderness area, which means there's mountain biking in that area.
Okay. Meaning, like we talked about the Bob Marshall, there's no biking there. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Or in the Scapegoat.
Okay. So it's not just motorized, there's no wheels of any kind.
Right.
Oh.
Well, a bicycle is technically mechanized because it has gears that move. So if
Yeah.
anything that is mechanized cannot be done. Like you can ride a horse.
Yeah.
It's got no gears.
Yeah. Well, not that we measure. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, horsepower. Yes. Gotcha.
So there's a few different trails that Lincoln Summers tells us about here that are varied in length. And I
Okay.
think that's an important thing to know. You should probably pick your length before you pick your trail. Like, how much time am I going to devote
Yeah.
to this?
Yeah. That's a good, like, rather than, yeah, that's a good way to measure to start with is how long do I want to go for today?
Also, since we've never done it, it's the only indicator we have as to what the
As to what
experience
it's like.
is going
Yeah.
to be.
Uh-huh. It could be short, but also very
Steep.
steep too.
Don't have
just-
any idea.
It
But
doesn't
there
indicate
was
that.
a Gould Helmville trail that is available for mountain biking. Stemple Pass, which I have heard a lot of mountain bikers talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should get an expert in to talk about that.
Yeah.
Dalton Mountain Road, that's 15 miles one way from Lincoln.
Okay.
And then Alice Creek Road. Alice Creek
Oh,
Road,
yeah, there.
which we
Uh-huh.
know gets you to Alice Creek.
Yep. I would hope so. Yeah.
Copper Creek Road, which is another 14-mile one-way direction from the trailhead.
Mm-hmm.
The Beaver Creek Huckleberry Pass, that's 21 miles one way.
Oh, is that the only huckleberry picking option?
No, that's
Okay.
just the mountain biking
Okay.
trail.
Okay.
It's the name of the trail, Huckleberry
Yeah.
Pass.
Oh, okay.
Obviously
I would
indicated
guess that there's.
because there's huckleberries
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
And then Sucker Creek Road.
Mm.
I have to assume it's Sucker, not Sucker, but things have been,
I feel like I've heard of Sucker Creek Road.
well, it's in the Lincoln area.
Yep.
I don't have a map in mind, but
Oh,
I don't have a map.
you should have a map in yours.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I've got this map.
Yes. We can see it on here.
Yeah, but if you wanted to hike the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail,
Uh-huh.
it's available to you in this area.
Also, I was just realizing too, the Alice Creek is our side of Lincoln as well.
Right, which
Yeah.
is why I selfishly decided we could talk about it because
Right,
it
'cause
is
it's
on our side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole, Lincoln area, it's not that much further to the town itself, but that also is nice because it's that much closer to
Yeah.
us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that drive from the east into Glacier
Mm-hmm.
because you're going from this more non-mountainous, more plainsy,
prairie.
river valley style landscape. And as you get closer, you go from flat to tall right away.
Yeah.
Which
You're, like,
I really
suddenly there.
appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of ups and downs. The Dearborn Creek runs through part of that area as you're headed out to Alice Creek. It doesn't run through the Alice Creek Historic District.
Okay.
You know, looking at our maps, I
Yeah,
don't
I
even
was
see that there's water.
I don't
But
see
there
that
are
either, but I
creeks
suppose,
everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would assume Alice Creek is a creek.
I would guess that too. Well,
But
yeah, 'cause
also
it
in
mentions-
Montana.
It does mention, I see a Bear Creek on here, actually.
Oh,
And yeah, it mentions the gulches and the basin. Yeah, there's a Bear Creek that shows up on here. I'm guessing that there are more creeks than that, but that there is a very lightly labeled one on there. So,
there is water features, I
Yes.
will call it, throughout the drive to Lincoln. Some of it's like marshy land.
yeah, there's always a spot on the road there where every time I expect to see a moose. I
Right.
never have, but it's like the area where
Okay.
I expect to see a moose every time.
Have you ever seen a moose anywhere on your drive from here to Missoula?
No, I've seen a moose, but not there.
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it past Lincoln? Like the other?
Yeah, it was
Side?
the other side
Okay.
of Lincoln.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Missoula
that's
side.
cool. Yeah. On off of 200?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen probably 4 or 5 moose
Really?
in that area or that
Wow.
stretch. And they're always in water.
Yeah, the one I've seen one in northern Idaho,
Oh.
right along the side of the road, like walking around there. But have I seen more than one? It wasn't until it wasn't that long ago when I saw my first moose somehow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw one, this was quite a while ago, and it was in the oddest location.
Yeah.
Just outside of Geyser on our way
Really?
into Brainsford.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were heading up.
Not what I would usually think of as moose
No.
territory.
Nope, and that's why we were a little shocked. We were in
yeah,
a car.
like,
It was
you okay there, bud?
really,
Yeah.
really early in the morning, like
So it could have been something
4:30.
else.
No, it was definitely a looming moose.
Wow.
They're big animals.
They are. And maybe this is a good opportunity to say, hey, moose can be very dangerous animals,
yeah.
especially, I mean, all animals with
All
babies
wild
around,
animals, yeah.
especially, but moose, everything I've heard, like even more so than bear, maybe I'd be like, look, this moose, like, don't stay in your vehicle, don't
Yeah.
irritate it. Like, they're stunning, but moose are more
they are
dangerous.
so big.
Yeah.
You know they're big, and then you see them, and you're like, "Oh, they're big."
Mm-hmm.
They're one of those
And just
animals
their-
that
and
you're
their
just
antlers
surprised by to
themselves
see.
too are
yeah.
just wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're good. What I love about it is when they run, they just like run like they're so dopey.
Uh-huh. But they're not
They're
dopey
not.
animals at all. Yeah.
Like you want to just get out and think, "Oh, I'll just
Yeah.
visit with
what
them a
cute
little bit."
little-
No,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they're man eaters.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah. Well, hopefully not.
floppers.
Yeah.
they'll hit you
Yeah.
and gore you and get you
Right.
rattled around.
So that's another one when you're, again, not that it's common to see moose, but over by
Right.
Lincoln is a more common area where moose would be around. So again, be aware when you're walking, like make some noise, talk, because the last thing you want to do is startle any of these animals. So, yeah.
So if folks, you think we are just joking about the amount of day hiking that is available, Lincoln
not.
Summers has highlighted the Arostra Creek Trail, the Heart Lake Trail, the Sauerkraut Trail.
Ooh.
There's got to be a rationale to why that's called
that?
sauerkraut.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Well, there's the Lewis and Clark Pass, which I already mentioned, and then there's the Stonewall Lookout, which is an 11-mile round trip hike as well. And we've got some descriptions, and I will tell you, I'm still working on our brand new website.
There you go.
And when we do get that launched, we'll add this
Add
stuff
that in
to
there.
it.
Yeah,
with
we'll
the
have to
caveat
add-
that this is not our content. It is the Lincoln Ranger Station's
Lincoln
content.
Summers content. Yes.
because I don't want to lead you astray and make you think that I've done this.
We've
'cause I
done all the research on it. Yeah.
Nor have I even hiked in this area.
Yeah. Are you going to add that to your summer to-do
Well,
list?
I would love to. I mean, that's just one of the untapped areas Robert and I have been talking about doing more in the Lincoln area because we've not recreated in that area. We used to ride it on our bike all the time. Motorcycle.
I was
Let
going
me
to
be
say, I was
clear.
like, you were a cyclist? that seems surprising
Motorbike.
considering your other...
endeavors.
Yeah.
Yes. No, this was on our motorcycle, and we did a lot of the scenic drives in that area because they are. You can head towards Lincoln, head south, and it'll take you to Wolf Creek, or just north of Helena, and then we come back up on the frontage road.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a nice little loop on your motorcycle. I'm assuming it's a nice little loop on your bike as well.
Yeah.
However, you're not going to cover the same amount of terrain a motorcycle would. So I assume you have to sleep somewhere. It's probably a 2-day trip versus a 1-day trip.
Yeah.
But that's just my assumption.
And if you're really feeling adventurous, the Race Montana organization, whatever, it has their Wolf Creek relay, which you could do by yourself if you wanted to, but they have a relay that goes in not Alice Creek area, but over by the Wolf Creek area where we were just kind of talking about so if you really want to see it in a slower pace.
Have you ever done that?
The Wolf Creek relay? No. I have not.
Well, I figured you're the runner in this group.
Well, yeah.
And if anyone was going to, it was going to be you.
It's like,
it's not
I don't know if I
me.
could be in shape well enough or get other people who would be willing to do a relay with me.
Well, you can do it by
for
yourself,
that.
which I think is funny that you can do a relay alone.
Yeah. I mean, I think this one allows it. When I was looking up stuff
I
for
read
our
it.
site,
You can.
Yeah. So
You can run the relay by yourself.
So I don't know if I want to make that a goal for myself, but it's doable. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous area.
Yeah. So that's not till this fall. So you still have time, everybody, to get in shape, plan for it. Come for that.
So we've told you a little bit about what we read in this brochure.
I was going to mention here, like in the Alice Creek brochure, I thought this was kind of interesting. It says the landscape is notable for its unique roadless condition. The Lewis and Clark Pass is the only pass along the Lewis and Clark Trail that's not crossed by a road or highway in some area.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? So there you
Just
go.
another reason why the Lewis and Clark history is so steeped here in our area.
Yeah. And so it also talks about that Lewis noted in his journal that there was a lot of notable spots where beavers had been busy in that area. Busy beavers, keeping the watershed healthy there. Talks about a lot of West Slope cutthroat trout and bull trout in the rivers there. Bald eagles and osprey nests there. Moose, elk, and deer, and wolves can be heard howling in the distance. So a lot of different wildlife there. Yeah.
Now, I am 98% certain that you cannot keep cutthroat trout
There or anywhere?
This is where I think in Montana.
Okay. I don't know enough.
I can't imagine it would just be in that one stream.
I wouldn't think so.
So please check your fishing regulations because there is fishing in the area.
Yeah. But just, check.
And they're in lakes and reservoirs.
Mm-hmm.
Browns Lake, Cottonwood Lake, Harper's Lake, Hart Lake, Nevada Reservoir, and then Snowbank Lake, which to me...
Snowbank Lake.
A really creative name.
Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all have Arctic grayling, West Slope cutthroat, trout, rainbow trout in some of those, yellow perch in some of those. So know what your fishing regulations are.
Yeah.
We've never done an episode on fishing.
Oh.
Ever.
Well, there you go. Well,
It'd
Might have to
probably
add
be
that
as
to the
good as
list.
our hunting episode that Maudie and I did, because
So maybe we should make sure we have someone on that, or it's going to be a pretty short episode.
oh no, we studied regulations,
Yeah.
talked about areas and streams and what tags and you need and
Wow.
what conservation licenses you need,
Yeah.
because it's all different, and then the cost for like out of state,
Oh, right.
which this is sometimes you get it a little too into the weeds and you start thinking, oh no, we would get Canadians that often ask, what's a hunting
Oh.
license? So
Well,
of
for
course
you-
in my mind I go, well, I don't know what an international license, international
Yeah.
fishing license would be. Well, it's the same as an out of state. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, that is out of state. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so it doesn't matter.
well, it doesn't
If it's
matter
out of
if you're out
country
of
or out of
country or
state.
out of state. You're just
It's not Montana, so
state.
it's
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's good to know.
So we may do, a worthwhile
fishing-
episode for you.
Really
on
study all
fishing.
the fishing stuff.
Yep.
Well, I had my first guided fly fishing trip
Oh, that's
experience
right.
last summer, so I could share
And
a
you're
little
a fly
about that.
fisherman.
I'm now a very well-versed fly fisherman. No, but I did catch 2 fish.
We've always been invited to go over to North 40
Yeah.
and have a tutorial done.
Oh, a fly
Yeah.
fishing tutorial?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I
In
think
the
that
building?
Yeah, I think it would make great content.
Yeah. I think you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
I
I
actu-
haven't done it. You've now mastered the skill.
Well,
so.
Yes, mastered. Mhm. I did really enjoy it, though, actually. It is very, so Jason, my husband, thought it would be like, he's like, it's pretty like zen, like fly fishing. Once you get kind of the motion down, it's pretty like zen activity. I
Oh.
don't think he felt so zen doing it. I think he got frustrated. But
Yeah,
I enjoyed
can't
it.
imagine. I just expect I would get a fly stuck inside my body somewhere.
oh, he hooked me a couple of times. I
They
didn't
are
bleed.
smaller.
Yeah.
They're smaller.
But that is my fear. It's
hooks.
going to like go in my eye or something. And I don't want to. Yeah.
Mhm.
It caught in the back. Like he caught me in the back. There, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, risk of the sport, I guess.
I go paddle fishing,
Uh-huh.
and the amount of times I've hooked a bush or
Oh,
nearly
yeah.
threw a child with my lure into the water. It's not good.
Yeah.
I need a wide berth.
Mm-hmm. See, this is also why it's nice to have a guide with you, because I tangle it up and I'm like, Eric, help.
Right.
Like he would just,
Here you go.
fix it, which was the nice part.
That is
Yeah.
nice.
I did want to mention, going back to the Alice Creek thing real quick. We talked about the Native American history, Lewis and Clark history there, but there was also in our little handy brochure some other history I found interesting for the area that I was just going to share real quick. So,
Okay. What's it about?
it's it's just after Lewis's trek. It says 40 years after Lewis's visit to the Alice Creek area, there were missionaries
Oh, yeah.
that arrived in that region to establish missions among the Indian tribes there. And it talked about something being written about it, saying the summit of a mountain from which you could see the horizon, 100 leagues in circumference. So you can do modern day conversion. I don't know what that is.
I always thought leagues were under
the sea. Yeah. Well, apparently there's leagues of circumference
Above it.
that happen in the Alice Creek Historic District.
There you go.
But this one missionary said, after reciting the first Vespers of St. Michael, I made and planted a cross. A stone structure in the shape of a Celtic cross lies at the top of Lewis and Clark Pass. So something else you
Oh.
can. I just thought that was kind of cool that I'm assuming you can still
Well, I
see
would
that.
think so.
Yeah. So
Hopefully somebody goes up and maintains it, and clears
yeah, it
the
doesn't like,
grass
oh, what are these
around
rocks
and
doing?
here's
Like
the-
somebody throws
tries
them
to
around.
skip 'em.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then there were also, after that, some military expeditions sent to explore if that was a potential route for transcontinental railroad
Oh,
or
yeah.
military transportation areas back and forth. So it's a really apparently good travel spot.
So really, interestingly enough, to the east of the Alice Creek Historic District is Fort Shaw, which was the premier fort. That's like the Queen Fort. I'm not sure what that term is. We
Queen
get somebody
Fort, sure.
on from there
Yeah.
to talk about that old fort, but it was a massive fort back in the day.
Yeah.
And then to the south of it is the old St. Peter's Mission.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting how they kind of
Like
intersect.
intersection of a lot of different things in history
Yeah, because
happening.
it's not very far south from there that you would
No.
find St. Peter's, or very far east that you'd find Fort Shaw.
That's fascinating. I wonder if these missionaries had something to do with St. Peter's.
I would think they do.
Yeah. Is it in your brochure?
It's not in my brochure. But I
That
was
is
just gonna
interesting, though.
Read real quick.
Yeah.
No, I think they're. Yeah, that Pierre de Smet sounds familiar.
Okay. Because you've been. I have not been, but you've been to the St. Peter's Mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the? Oh yes, I
Yeah.
did.
You let me listen to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one of the members of our orchestra created
Mhm.
original pieces for each mission in the state of Montana.
Which is just so cool.
That
What
is
a
so
concept.
neat.
Yeah. And then you
And-
got to hear it in the mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And just to be there, I'm such a nerd when it comes to that, like old buildings
Yeah.
and kind of those type of history that is no longer accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So the school itself had been torn down, but there were pictures of it inside the church
Yeah.
portion of it. And just to see how a work of love that community has taken to make sure that that building stays intact is
Yeah.
really neat. And it's not open. I mean, you can't go
Just
into
go
it.
wander.
No, but it is really awesome.
You can
once
see
you
from
get
the
in.
outside.
Yeah,
Peek in the windows.
it's so neat.
Yeah.
Very rustic.
Mm-hmm.
Not the big, elaborate walls.
Churches. Yeah. That's
As
cool.
some missions are, though.
Mhm.
Like some of the missions exist still today. They have a little bit more of a presence. This
Yeah.
was just like a prairie plastered wood.
But it's still there.
Yep, it's still standing.
Which is that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of varying points of history in this area, which again I had no idea.
Thank you,
Whoever
Lincoln Ranger District personnel, for dropping this off to us, because it was really fun to learn
Yeah.
and really encompasses the historic district when you're talking about Native American, Lewis and Clark, the old tracks, the wildlife, the missionaries, all in this
Even
area.
the military. Yeah.
Just really cool.
Yeah. I want to add it to summer hiking list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Especially because like we said, the one of them it's like 3.2 miles, so that's
That's doable.
nice but manageable. Yeah.
And so much opportunity, so many different trails. And this is just in that area.
Right.
That's not like the other side of Lincoln, which we're not even going to talk about.
No, because you don't need to go over there because on this side,
Right. You've
all
got so
around
much
here, there's
access.
so many. Well, and some, just kind of speaking to that, this last summer, fall, Jason and I, over one weekend, we went up and we did Memorial Falls, sluice boxes up there one weekend. Or one day, and then the next day we did the the Sulphur Springs
Oh,
Trail
yes.
out past Maroney Dam, and we were just talking about how we're 2 days apart, and we did these both with very close to Great Falls to home, and there was such diverse, different landscape between those two, which was just really cool because we literally did, one on Friday, one on Saturday. And it was we were just like, wow, how lucky are we that we can do such diverse type of hiking right here?
So much variety, all using Great Falls as a base camp.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at how unassuming Sulphur Springs
Yeah,
is?
it is. Like you kind of, you get up there, you're like, all right,
You can
where
smell
is
it.
it? Yeah, you like use your nose. Oh, here it is.
Did you take Watson with you?
Yeah, Watson and our new dog Maya, they both went. Yeah, I think one of them wanted to drink from it, which I guess supposedly would be fine because it healed Sacagawea. But I was like, yeah, maybe let's not drink from this. But
We had taken Oliver. He loved it. He splashed around. He didn't want to drink it.
yeah,
But he was also a pretty persnickety fella.
okay. Because I was like, a lot of dogs, things that don't smell good, they're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He rolled around in it.
I think it was very hot the day we went, so I think that was like
Part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hot.
It's I like that trail.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more plainsy, but you got
It
that
is.
up and down, some really great rock formations that you're walking around.
Yeah.
I liked it just because you end up seeing where the Lewis and Clark portage started, and you get to see in all of its glory Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur Springs, right.
Which I can't imagine looked much different in the Lewis and Clark day.
No, and Jason and I talked about this when we were there. We're like, wow, they really had to have either smelled it and went or just happened to be walking in that area, because how else would you have seen it, found it?
Then who says,
Let's take a swig of this.
let's take this to Sacagawea and see if that fixes her. Like who,
Right. Like, smelly groundwater. This'll do it. Like,
But they had to have known. They had to have come across
something.
hot springs in the past.
Right.
And known the mineral content
Yeah.
within that water and thought, that must be good.
So there's this lore, but that we don't know what exactly about it necessarily healed, but she had been sick, right?
She'd been really, really sick. We
Yeah.
had discussed this with Wayne, Dwayne Bushai. And the theory is that she was just super dehydrated. So any water,
any liquid was helping.
would have helped. But then they fed her some sticks and berries. That made her take a turn for the worst. Well, she needed water, not fiber.
Sticks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you go back, you can listen to that episode. We
Yeah.
talked about Dwayne and a little bit about that whole healing waters of Sacagawea.
It is interesting though, because so many different springs are said to have healing powers. So who knows?
I've sat in them.
You're
I guess I am pretty healthy. I don't know. Maybe it's because of them.
You're still here. You're fine. You're good. Yeah.
There's really no reason I should.
Your husband
still
looks
be
like
here.
your father instead, so you must be fountain of youth there.
Must be hanging out with your dad. I'm like, yep, he's pretty sexy. So when you're planning your trip to the Great Falls area and you want to get out and you want to do some recreation, especially if it's connected to Lewis and Clark, we got some options for you now.
Sure do.
That we know about, that we did not know about.
Extended options, yes.
Before.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean other people didn't know about them. We just didn't know to ask.
To tell you. So
sorry, all of our guests up until now.
Yeah. We had a lot of options already, but this is another good one to add.
There's a lot of them in the Rocky Mountain front and in the Bob that are just day hikes. And teaser, coming up, you are going to get to hear from actual hiking experts.
Yes.
Recreation
We purposely
experts.
did this before, so then we
Yeah.
can give you some real information soon.
So we've got our experts from Bighorn Outdoor Specialists coming to talk to us, which is who we actually consulted to develop the content in our visitor magazine as well for day hikes. Because I've done some, but I'm not as active as the folks at Bighorn in their extensive experience of the area of what they've hiked.
So we have expert backup for our recommendations.
And they can talk the big belts, they can talk the little belts, they can talk Rocky Mountain Front,
Highwoods,
Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. We'll see how much they know about the Alice Creek Historic District.
I'm curious.
And then Highwoods and beyond. So a lot of great things coming up that is, more educational.
I liked this one though.
Yeah.
We told people things.
Yeah, and it's really a lot of varied recreation, which I think is exciting for folks if they're coming out here to see a lot of things you can do in one area.
And if you need to rent things or purchase hiking gear, which we can ask Bighorn ladies about that as well, but we do have a great local spot here as well.
And what I've also seen other people do, if you don't have the gear or you're just going to use it, you can buy it and then pawn it.
There you go.
Or
also,
donate it.
our friends at Nocals might be able to help you out as well.
Oh, there we go. Well done. Good plug for them. They
Yes.
have a lot of equipment to rent, which is nice. So
yeah, kayaks and such.
So, folks, you're now more smart than we are on this. Feel free to dig in on anything about the Alice Creek Historic District. Become more knowledgeable than we will. We love it when
Doesn't
you're
take
smarter
much.
than us. So until we see your bright, smiling, happy, beautiful, healthy face here in our wonderful community of Great Falls, we hope that you are creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you are. See you soon.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. felt good.